Welcome to another Look Mac Talks. Today we have the huge, enormous, I don't know, fantastic pleasure of having with us Simon Jones. Exactly, Simon Jones from and also The Trees. He's one of the founders together with his brother. So it is a great, great pleasure to have you here among us, Simon. So welcome to our talks.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
First of all, I was telling that you are one of the founders, but in this case, we have two brothers, one band. And I need to ask you, let's go back in time. And do you remember how did it all begin?
Well, it all really began with my little brother Justin buying an acoustic guitar when he was about 13 or 14 years old. And when would that have been? That would have been the late 70s. And he started to teach himself to play guitar. And I was in my bedroom, which was across the landing from him. And I could hear him playing Interstellar Overdrive on one string by Pink Floyd, and then ESP by the Buzzcocks. So I thought, hey, this sounds great. He's learning to play guitar. And our best friends were the Havas brothers, who were living in another village near to us, a bigger village. And we had the idea, our dream was always to be either footballers or to be in a rock band. So because of punk rock, we thought it's going to be not impossible to form a band. We don't need to play brilliantly like we always thought you'd have to be in a band. So we formed a punk band of the four of us, with me singing because I was the oldest, Justin obviously playing guitar, and Graham and Nick were playing the rhythm section, the bass and drums. And very shortly after we'd learnt to play our instruments and made our first demos, we sent it to Fiction Records, who were asking for bands who wanted to support The Cure on their tour of the UK. And The Cure weren't a big band then, they were an underground band too, playing theatres and universities. So we sent our demo off, and they got back to us eventually in strange, unforeseen ways. But we found out about it, and they asked us to play a show with them, which we did in Loughborough, which is in the middle of England near Leicester. And then they liked us a lot, and we did a tour with them, and they helped us make our first records, which was great because it was immediately finding a step up from just playing the pubs and small venues around by us. We still played the pubs and small venues around by us because although we did support The Cure, it didn't make a big difference in a lot of ways that we thought it might. We still had to fight very hard to find a record company and to find shows. But we did, and in 1984, we released our first album, just called And Also the Trees.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we went on tour with The Cure for the second time.
The second time. Tell me one thing, because you told us that you began like a punk band, but
Yeah.
your sound is very different like the punk band. So I have to ask you, how did it evolve to this sound that you have now and that you have since the beginning?
Well, what happened was while we were learning to play our instruments, it was clear that the punk scene kind of died out by the end of 1979. And we were in a situation where we found we had our instruments and we had the four of us who were keen to learn, but the scene that we were loving and we wanted to be a part of had kind of broken up and disbanded. So we were literally a post-punk band. We didn't really know what to do. So we were kind of influenced by psychedelic bands like early Pink Floyd and the Velvet Underground. And at the same time, there were bands not quite in the same situation as us, but similar, like The Cure, like Joy Division, like Echo and the Bunnymen, like Susie and the Banshees, who were playing a style of music which was kind of slow. A lot of people found it a little bit gloomy, a little bit depressing, but part of the reason why we were playing slowly was because we were still learning to play.
Learning.
We couldn't play fast.
That's so
Or
cute.
we could thrash and shout like a punk band, but actually trying to play properly was quite difficult. So this was the kind of genre that we found ourselves in, with with a lot of other bands at the same time, where they were, I think probably all of the other bands were more advanced in their learning of how to play than we were. But that's basically how it became a kind of, I don't know, our first album. I don't know who it sounds like even, but it's the one album that sounds like it could be part of a genre to me. It's like that post-punk, original post-punk sound. And after that, we'd learned to play better. And I think we kind of stepped back from all the other genres that were going on and created this sound. A lot of it is around Justin's guitar, the sound. I mean, all the creative, Justin is the creative heart of the band. So all the music comes from him in the first place. He's the source. But it's also the sound of his guitar gave us a particular sound. And I suppose my voice and my way of writing lyrics, which was the only way I could do it, actually, became quite distinctive and gave us our own sort of feel and our own sound, which was not really like anyone else.
Absolutely, absolutely. The last time I saw you was in Lisbon in RCA Club. Do you remember that concert?
Yes, I do. That's the
A
last
very
time.
small, yeah.
It's the last time you played in Lisbon?
Absolutely, a very small venue, and it was so cozy and it was absolutely brilliant. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, it took me back to the old days.
Right.
Tell me one thing, Simon, because your first record is called And Also the Trees, and the band is called And Also the Trees.
Yeah.
Why the name?
That's because one of our very first songs that we were able to write together, that we thought was presentable for demo tapes, was a song that started with the words, with the vocal, green is the sea and also the trees. It was a super simple song because it was one of the first we'd ever written. And at the end of that song, I just repeated, and also the trees, and also the trees, just for something to repeat. And we thought, oh, we can call the song and also the trees. And then we needed a name for our band, and one of the ideas was, yeah, and also the trees is quite a nice name for a song. Maybe it works for a band. Of course, I didn't imagine that 45 years later I would still be explaining this, but that's how it all started.
But that's pretty cool, because when we know where you came from, uh, in England, not in a town like London, but of the countryside. Maybe perhaps some people think, oh, because they came from the countryside, it has something to do with the name.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
No, it was just the idea from a song, and I was falling in love with trees after that. But
Tell me another thing. You already said that Justin is the creative soul in writing the music,
yeah,
but you are the other part of the soul in writing the lyrics. So I have to ask you, because I read something about you, and you had the three ages. Huxley, Hardy, and Hemingway were three of the main influence for you. They still are, or you have evolved a little on your influence in writing?
well, sure, those were the first books I was ever reading,
Yeah.
because I hadn't read another book before I was 18, 19. Um, so those were the first three authors that introduced me to literature. I still love all of them, actually. But I've read pretty well all of their books, and of course I've read a lot since then. I have to be reading all the time. It's kind of like an addiction. Now I read mainly contemporary writers, but if I come across a sort of classic literature that I haven't already read, or sometimes I like to reread these books. So yeah, I'm always reading.
Can you leave us some name for our listeners go and pick up some new ideas for books?
I really like Claire Keegan. She's an
Mhm.
Irish writer.
Okay.
She wrote small things like these, and I really liked one called Foster, which was she writes it in a very stripped back, simple way, which I like a lot. Very short stories and novellas. I like her a lot. Cormac McCarthy, of course. I read pretty well everything of his that I like. And recently I've read Orbital by Samantha Harvey, which was a really nice book. She writes really beautifully about this orbital, about seeing the Earth from as astronauts have seen the Earth, but orbiting. And this is really, really nice. Donna Tartt, I like a lot, the American writer. There's a lot of women. It seems mostly women these days are doing the writing that I like. So I don't know what.
Why do you think is that?
I've thought a lot about this, and I don't really know. I'm not sure. I think there are a lot of great women, female writers at the moment, at this point. Maybe it's just for me. But also when I go to bookshops, I look around and all the authors seem to be female as well. So I think it's just a time in history where the women writers have come up and sort of like the standard bearers, writing the best stuff.
And besides literature, what are your main influences outside literature?
I like to be influenced by everything. I like to think that the more I can take in from film, from books, from magazines, from newspapers, from nature, from people, less from people because I'm quite a solitary person, but from architecture, from towns, from traveling experiences. I like to hope that the more I take in and the better quality I take in, the better quality will come out at some point. So
And the fact that you came from the countryside of England, does it have any influence on you, on your writing? Some melancholic something around there.
Yes. Yeah, it's certainly it's the countryside, they say. Yeah, the countryside has definitely stayed in me, and I think Justin as well. And we move on. We write about other modern things, but quite often we go back to nature and this original sound and landscape that influenced our sound and my lyrics. I think we always instinctively return to that. Not deliberately, it's always instinctively.
And the British folklore, because we don't know very much in Portugal about the British folklore, but everything I read about you and about the band, they always talk about the British folklore. How does it influence the music and the lyric part of you, and even the way that you sing? Does it have any influence?
Not in the way I sing. I've never been into folk music that much, and what am I saying? Folklore. I think folklore it's the general. There are so many stories. I mean, a lot of them are not actually English at all. A lot of them are from not Hans Christian Andersen. He's too sad. The Brothers Grimm. They've got some wonderful folk stories, and I suppose some of them come from Britain as well that they've been writing. And it's just a general. It's not any particular folk stories or folk tales that have influenced us, but just that general feeling of a story that's old and has been passed down and changed, and people change it, and it sometimes becomes a different story, and you have two stories then. It's this is just a kind of a vibe that's, I think, is similar to a similar feel to some of our songs.
You know, when I listen to you, and I listened to you a long time ago, and then when I see the concerts, I always look at the band like a city band. I don't know if I can explain that, because you don't bring me the melancholic from the countryside for me. You bring the melancholic from my part of, I don't know, being lost in the city, being alone or something like that, and it fulfills me. What do you think about that? Do you think you can reach both sides of the listeners? Those who are into more, I don't know, melancholic and countryside and nature related, and those like me that feel like I'm in a city, and this is the way that I feel, in a cocoon, like a cocoon.
Yeah, I'd hope so. If we can reach people from everywhere and in different ways, and even if people don't speak English, it's
Absolutely.
it always makes me think of Jacques Brel, the Belgian singer.
Ab-
When we first heard him, we didn't speak. Well, we spoke school French, so we didn't understand any of his songs at all, his lyrics at all. But still, we understood him, even though we didn't understand his words. We understood the soul, the way he was singing it, the way he comes across. We felt like we understood it. We felt like it was touching us, and we understood what he was saying. And now I speak a bit of French, and I can, and now we understand what the song's about. It's not always what we thought it was, but
no.
at the same time, it's that doesn't really matter so much. It was just we understood him and we understood his music, and that was the important thing. And I think this happens with And Also the Trees as well sometimes.
But doesn't that make you feel a little bit, comas, sad, because you write so well, and then when the other person only listens to the sound, they don't understand what you are saying, maybe something is lost along the way. Don't you think like that?
Maybe, maybe something is. Doesn't make me sad because
Mm.
there's enough in And Also the Trees with all the drums and the bass and the clarinet and the guitars. They give a lot too. And even if you don't understand what I'm saying, my voice is a bit like an instrument as well sometimes. So if people can get something from that, then that's great.
Absolutely. You know, you spoke about Jacques Brel. He's one of, it has been a big influence in some Portuguese music. And when we speak about the fado, is our music from Portugal and mainly from Lisbon, is kind of what we're telling about now, according to Jacques Brel, because maybe you don't understand anything from Portuguese, but the sound of the Portuguese guitar is so peculiar and is so soulmate that you are going to fall in love with that. It's the same with Also the Trees. Exactly the same.
Great.
Exactly the same. Simon, now a curiosity of mine. Did you ever think playing alone, writing alone, or never thought like that?
I don't write without music. I used to think I wouldn't be able to write anything without Justin's music, but
Uh-huh.
since then I've had projects with other people.
Yeah.
Of course, it needs to connect. Of course, it does. It's not about whether it's good or bad. It's just whether I can see myself or hear myself in the music. So I have had other projects, but I wouldn't write from nothing. Not lyrics or vocals. I might, if I had nothing, if I had no musicians to play with, maybe I would write poetry or maybe I would write fiction,
Hmm. That's a
non-fiction. Yeah.
that's kind of a promise that we making here.
Well, I've been writing this sort of the story of And Also the Trees on Facebook and on our website, and this is something that I'm really enjoying quite a lot. People are encouraging me to write more, and for it to be a book. And I think one day that's a project that will probably come to fruition.
We will be waiting, Simon. We will be waiting. Now, this month on the 27th, you will be releasing, and also the Trees will be releasing the new album. I have to write it because it calls a wonderful name, The Devil's Door. And it will be completing a trilogy that you made with the two records before. So I have to ask you, what is the main and central concept of the album? And tell me one thing. I was going to ask you about the name of the song, but then I listened very careful to the first. I have it here, the name, and I listened very careful to the song that you released with the video. In one of the parts, it calls the Devil's Door.
The Silver Soul, yeah.
Silver, yeah. Does it hear any relations with that part of the song with the name of the album?
Yeah, sure.
Ah,
Yeah.
I found it.
Yes, it's the last line of the chorus of the.
Yes, it is, and it's
Oh,
a beautiful, beautiful song.
yeah.
And then, how did you work out all the concept of the album?
The concept of the album, we don't really plan anything
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning. Everything is instinctive. Justin's writing is instinctive. He sends it to either me or Paul or Grant or Colin, and we one by one we add our parts, and the songs build up that way. I don't have any lyrical ideas before we start. We don't have any ideas about what the album is going to be called or the cover. This all comes much later. So there isn't really a concept. It's just they're songs that come together in a space of time with the same musicians.
And the fact that is the third record of a trilogy,
Yeah.
is it important to the listeners to know that there are two records before that maybe were the base for this one, or don't they
Not
live separately?
they live separately.
Okay.
The main reason why we're calling it a trilogy is because the three albums were written in quite close together in time.
Okay.
I think we wrote the three albums in 6 years, which for us is kind of remarkable because we usually take a lot longer to write each
Yeah.
one. So they came together very quickly, partly because of COVID in the middle, gave lots of time for thinking and creating. That's when we wrote the Mother of Pearl Moon. But another thing that it's mainly because it's the same three musicians for the first time, and probably the last time that are writing together. And we have the clarinet, which goes through all of the three albums and kind of ties it up.
But then on Devil's Door, you have another collaborations. The violinist Catherine. How did it work, and how did you imagine to bring the sound of this instrument to the album?
Well, I had a project with Catherine before.
Mm.
She got in touch with the band and asked if I could be write some lyrics and do some vocals on a project of hers called Songs for the Dead, which sounds very somber and macabre, but it's not so sad. It's based around the Greek tragedy of Orpheus and Eurydice, and strangely, a poem by Allen Ginsberg.
Wow.
That's what the project was based around. His poem was about a dream he had meeting Joan Burroughs, William Burroughs' wife, but he met her when she was dead, and they were having a conversation. It's quite a nice poem. So it's based around that, and I wrote some more lyrics, and we had some more songs, and so I got to know Catherine that way. It was a successful project. I liked it a lot, and so did Justin. And when the album was finished, we were thinking it could be nice to have some female vocal on the album, but not like a trained vocalist, although Catherine is trained. But she sings in a very natural way that we liked, and she has an accent which we wanted too. And she's done some sort of backing vocals, I suppose you call them, on a few songs. And while she was doing them, she was doing the backing vocals on the end of a song called "The Trickster," and she thought about on "The Rifleman's Wedding."
Mm-hmm.
And she thought it could sound really nice with some violin at the end. So she wrote a piece and sent it, and Justin loved it, sent it to me, and I thought, yeah, it sounds great. So this is how that happened, just through the friendship and working together.
Something I read about the album. Uh, I confess that when I read that, I I I laugh because they were comparing um, the sound of this album like John Barry and Béla Bartók.
Yeah.
They couldn't be more different. They couldn't be. And I thought, oh, how is it possible? How is it possible? Because they are so different. They are so absolutely wonderful. Each one in his main chorus, let's say, like the main core. But then, what do you think about that?
This is coming from Justin. And I think they're two influences of his that were, like, as you say, far apart.
Far apart, but
I
they come
mentioned
together.
I think he didn't want to, like, pin it down to one, so everybody would be writing, like, saying, yes, this is an album that's influenced by Béla Bartók music. No, it wasn't. He wanted to have two different composers that were very
Completely.
different, and to mention those two because they were, their influences on Justin. He loves these composers, and so that's why that happened. And it's something kind of interesting to say in a press release. That's what it was
No,
from.
absolutely.
Press
And
release.
but more than that, I think it's very interesting because for me, I do know both of the composers, and I thought, what? This is mind blowing. Wait a minute. But maybe some people don't know, for example, Bartok, and maybe they will find out the composer, and I think that's brilliant. That
Yeah.
will be a lot of, I don't know, brilliant. Simon, tell me one thing. It was easy to write, to compose, and to record the album, or took a long time to do it?
Oh, well, it took 2 years, but a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Songs can start as one guitar idea, and then sometimes they can branch off and become two songs because there's too much in the one that we like, and they don't. It's just too busy, and it can split. So this kind of thing happens. But for me, as the vocalist and lyricist, there are some songs that come easily. These
Mm-hmm.
songs I love forever because they come easily, and like the Return of the Reapers. I think I just had this title in my head, which Justin gave me, the title to the music, and I thought, okay, I will imagine Return of the Reapers as a painting, which is what he got it from. I didn't look at the painting; I had it in my head, and I just sang Return of the Reapers, and it came. And it came to the end almost in one morning, and it was pretty well finished. Okay, I had to go back and change bits, but that's and then there are other ones that take a lot more time. They're more difficult. I don't know. I can't find where I am. I can't find who I am, and I need to look further. And when I found it, only get half of it, and then I have to try and find the other half. So these can take ages. So the answer is yes. Some songs are difficult; they take
Mm.
ages. Other ones have come together very quickly.
Is it difficult for you because now you said you didn't find yourself when you are trying to do the songs and sing them? Um, is it hard? Is it difficult for you? I imagine that you give a lot from yourself, from your soul to those songs.
It is difficult, but I've got used to it. I used
Mm.
to be unbearable when I was writing lyrics, and I used to want to sort of like beat my head against the wall.
Oh
But
God.
I've learned over the years. So, I'm kind of thinking about lyrics more or less all the time now. Um, it's just part of my life, uh, so I can't be getting too angry about it. Otherwise, I'd be impossible to live with, for a start. So yeah, it's difficult. Of course everyone knows lyric writing is difficult. I mean, all lyric writers know it's difficult, and a lot of bands think, yeah, we can write music, but the most difficult thing is the lyrics. So yes, it's difficult, but I know that.
And you are cool with that.
I'm cool with that. Yeah, if it was easy, everyone could do it.
Absolutely. When you go on stage, uh, what do you think when you look at all those people, or you don't look at us, the audience, the fans?
So I'm very aware of the presence of the audience. I'm maybe not looking so much because I got my eyes closed a lot because I'm
Yep.
really concentrating on the music and remembering my words, and I'm getting into the music, getting into the characters or the landscape. That's important to me to kind of live the songs, and it's easier with my eyes closed. But what do I think? I just think we have to give everything, and respect the audience and respect the music and be as good as we can possibly be.
Now I have to ask you a little thing about the Silver Key, because we spoke on the last verse of it, the Devil's Door. Tell me a little bit about the video, because it's a beautiful video.
It is a beautiful video. It's made
Yeah.
by a guy called Sébastien Fête in from France, and he made a documentary about the trees as well, actually. Justin and I thought we might be able to make the video on our own, and quickly discovered we couldn't. And then it's such an obvious thing to do, but Justin said, well, let's ask Sebastian if he can do it. And he said, yes, he can. So he came over very quickly. And I went as well to London. And we just went into a rehearsal studio, and he put some lights up and filmed us. Took about 2 hours.
Wow.
Then we walked to the tube station, and we walked down to the river, and it was really cold, and the wind was blowing hard, and we were quite tired. But he filmed me and us walking, sitting on benches, and then it took an hour or so, and then we went to the pub and had a beer and dinner, and then I think this is on a Friday, and then on Monday he sent us back an edit.
Wow.
I know. We thought, you're kidding. No, and it was quite close. We made changes, as you have to, but that didn't take much. And it was done. He was brilliant.
I never thought you were tired on that video. I never thought it was cold like that, because it's so, I don't know, warming and welcoming. I don't know why, because it's
Oh,
what I
good.
felt when I see it. It's lovely. It's very, very, very beautiful. Are we going to have more videos?
I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
know. We've never been fans of videos,
Yeah, I know.
but this one we like. So, but I mean, how? Yes. What next? We can ask Sebastian if he has any ideas. We'll see. We'll see.
Another thing that you are going to do this summer, you'll be performing at Festival de Nîmes with
Yeah.
a cure.
Yeah.
Um, I want to be there. I won't be, but I want to be there. But because I won't be there, I would like to ask you. I'm going to confess you that The Cure is one of my favorite bands from all time, because when they began, I was kind of 10 years old, and it was very, very cool to all the bands that you said, Sixty, Joy Division, everybody. It's in my heart, because I grew up in the 80s, so, and I'm a urban depressive soul. So in the 80s, I was connecting with all of them. But what does it mean for you after all these years, and with a band that you are so close, that you have a relationship so so strong, to play again at this time of your life, at this time of, and also the tree's life, and at this time of the Cure's life?
Yeah. I think it's yes. How to answer? I think it's particularly because, as you just said, it's at this time in our lives, this times in our careers, that we've got back together. This makes it really cool, I think, because, as you said, we started at very similar points of time. Okay, they were ahead of us, and we've had a very different path through those 45 years of being in the music industry. They've become a sort of global mega band, I suppose. And we've always stayed underneath the radar in the underground. I think we've made more albums than than they have, and but they've certainly done more concerts than we have. But yes, we've had a very different sort of path through music, and there were times when I would have been, I don't know, I don't want to say that, but I I grew away from the Cure personally after the top, actually, and I didn't really listen to them much because I didn't want to be compared to another band at that point of our lives. I didn't think we sounded like the Cure, and I kind of outgrew them a bit and didn't buy any of their albums or listen to them for years, but I listened to their first 4 albums. Justin always stayed in touch with Robert. He was always very helpful and supportive and kind to us. But I bought their last album when it came out. It was the first one I bought for a long time, and I really
Really?
liked it. Yeah. And I like that album, and I've listened to it a lot, and that makes it better. But that doesn't really answer your question at all. It's partly towards my feelings. I'm very glad that I can like their last album,
Yeah.
And I genuinely do. I'm not just saying it. But I think it's great for us to get back, for after all that time to get back together, and for Justin and Robert for all those years to have had this email relationship in the end, where they occasionally write each other emails, and this is how it's come together, and that's really cool. And when we played with them, I think it's 12 years ago in London at the Apollo, we did 3 nights there together.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I'd feel about that, but it was great. I really loved it. And it was great to see Robert again. He was so warm and friendly to see us towards us. It was great. And the whole experience, the crowd were great. I looked at the crowd and I just thought, they're loving this. They just love this. What can be wrong with it? Nothing. It was great. I thought that was great, and I think this will be great because, I mean, my God, we're playing in a Roman amphitheater, not amphitheater, but a Roman arena.
Yeah.
And this is going to be an amazing experience for us.
It will be mind-blowing, I'm sure. And I have to confess you that we always listen a lot, me and my husband, the last album of Robert and the Cure, because I don't know, there's something that touches us, because I have 54, my husband is 58, and it's very, I don't know, warming and welcoming to hear some of these songs from the last album. So I do understand what you are saying. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Did you already imagine the set list for that concert? No, too soon.
I've thought about it, but I don't know, because we don't know how well we're going to play the songs from the new album. We've had a few rehearsals so far, and it's sounding good, but we haven't had a full rehearsal with drums and everything. And I think after we've done our tour of France, I mean, this and Belgium, and I think it's 6 or 7 dates, I can't remember, then we will know how the new pieces sound. And then we will know instinctively from our hearts what we want to play and what we should play from that album. So we'll see. My initial thought was, we do a mix. We do like maybe 2 from the new album, but lots from the past as well. But I don't know. Maybe we'll do more from the new album. We have to see how it comes across.
Yeah. I think it will be good. The band has more than 40 years. How is it possible? Because you are brothers?
That's a lot to do with it. Yeah, we're brothers that get on well together.
Thank God.
Yeah, otherwise it wouldn't have worked. I think there's a number of things. We've never had any sort of big success, and I think that, I mean, like pop star success, rock star success, and I think this has meant we've always been able to keep our egos under control, and really there's not the distraction of an industry around us, or a massive fan base, or getting over fame. I don't know. That's part of it, living with fame. We haven't had to deal with that. But the short answer is just because it's our love of making music together, and to want to continue making that music together, because we're fascinated in the evolution of, and also the trees.
And are you planning to come to Portugal again soon?
Sure. Yeah. I hope
so.
Yeah. Yes, I think we need to play in at least Lisbon and Porto, at least. We played in Ledia.
Ledia.
I tried pronouncing it to my...
Yes.
I I tried. I have a new physio. I went to my physio this afternoon, and he's Portuguese.
Really?
Yes, yes. And he said, "You're a musician." I said, "Yeah, I'm a singer." And he said that he was from Portugal. And I said, "Oh, we were there last year in Leiria." And he said, "Where?"
Where?
And I said, "Leiria." And he said, "Ah, Leiria." Yeah, okay, that's it. So yeah,
Leiria.
Leiria.
Is exactly.
All right.
Now
Maybe
you don't
there
have
again.
excuses. You have to learn Portuguese from him.
Oh.
Simon, it was a huge, enormous pleasure to have you here. Please come to Lisbon again, come to Portugal again. We need, and also the trees near our hearts, to be happy in this, I don't know, crazy world. I think your voice, just on guitar, your lyrics are one of the great escapes that we have from the crazy that is going on in the world.
Well,
And
it's nice to hear.
yes, please do. It was
Okay.
a huge, enormous pleasure. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you very much to you.